Pardon me, sir.
Yes?
I'm Handsome Stranger.
In 1979, a legendary stuntman made a Western so bizarre it confused critics and baffled audiences. If you grew up flipping channels late at night, this is exactly the kind of movie you'd stumble into by accident. These are the moments that prove The Villain was one of Hollywood's boldest and strangest experiments of the 1970s. 15. This whole movie is literally a live-action Roadrunner cartoon. What if a dusty Hollywood Western spun out into a cartoon world where gravity pauses and dynamite explodes every few minutes? That's The Villain in a nutshell. Director Hal Needham's attempt to recreate Roadrunner chaos with real actors. The plot barely matters. Arnold Schwarzenegger's handsome stranger, Ann-Margret's charming Jones, and Kirk Douglas's bumbling outlaw Cactus Jack cross the desert as each new trap backfires. Critics of 1979 reacted with disdain, saying the film copies Looney Tunes with less precise timing, but Needham doesn't hold back. Each gag lands with genuine physical commitment. Exploding boulders, collapsing bridges, and painted tunnels ripped straight from Saturday morning cartoons. Rather than parody, the film plays it straight, trusting the cast's earnestness to sell each visual punchline. With every stunt, The Villain teeters between disaster and slapstick glory, setting the stage for Kirk Douglas to risk it all. 14. Kirk Douglas is in his 60s here, doing full Wile E. Coyote-level stunts. Now, imagine a Hollywood icon in his 60s, gleefully leaping off cliffs and getting battered for laughs. Kirk Douglas, already a legend for stoic roles, transforms himself into a live-action Wile E. Coyote. During The Villain, Douglas performs most of his own stunts, shunning doubles even as he faces bruises, dust, and bone-jarring landings. Production notes confirm his dedication. Douglas gets dragged by horses, buried in rubble, and blasted through swinging doors, all with a straight-faced grimace. His pain is real, his reactions priceless, and audiences sense every impact. This risk grounds the film, keeping the slapstick from floating away into total parody. Instead of just spoofing, Douglas's gravitas transforms Cactus Jack into a tragicomic hero, someone who always gets up no matter how ridiculous the defeat. That fierce authenticity elevates the chaos and makes Arnold Schwarzenegger's simple-minded cowboy seem even more comically untouchable in contrast. 13. Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a sweet, dumb cowboy named Handsome Stranger. Long before Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes a cinematic superhuman, he rides across the West as Handsome Stranger, a cowboy as innocent as his name is literal. The casting itself feels like a cosmic joke. This future icon plays a sweet, loyal, and slightly clueless hero in a spotless white hat. The script builds his myth as an upright, unfailing protector who misses every cue, bullet, and seduction thrown his way. Ann-Margret's charming Jones openly flirts and schemes, but Arnold's character never catches on, focusing only on his mission. Critics of the day call his performance wooden, but within the logic of this cartoonish world, it's exactly right. Handsome Stranger's obliviousness becomes his superpower. He never falters, simply coasting through one disaster after another as chaos erupts around him. Viewers soon realize the real fun comes from watching Arnold's pure-hearted giant dodge trouble with the luck of a cartoon hero, while all reason falls apart behind him. 12. The smartest character in the film is Cactus Jack's sarcastic horse Whiskey. In this world of bumbling villains and clueless heroes, the true mastermind isn't even human. It's Whiskey, Cactus Jack's horse. Critics decades later still highlight Whiskey as the film's breakout star. Whenever Jack plots another doomed heist, Whiskey simply refuses to cooperate, rolling his eyes or planting his hooves at the cliff's edge. Several scenes show the horse physically saving Jack's life, ignoring idiotic orders to prevent certain disaster. Reviews compare Whiskey to a deadpan comic sidekick, silently judging the human folly unfolding around him. The New York Daily News even frames Whiskey as the only character with real intelligence, sizing up every situation before gravity or dynamite do their work. Over time, viewers start tracking the horse's body language for warnings about the next disaster. When the smartest head in town belongs to a horse, you know the villain has fully committed to its upside-down cartoon logic. 11. Arnold later had a real pet pony called Whiskey, just like his movie horse. Years after The Villain, Arnold Schwarzenegger's connection to his on-screen partner takes a real-life twist. Off-camera, Arnold fills his home with a menagerie: dogs, a donkey named Lulu, and a miniature horse named Whiskey. During the pandemic, videos of Arnold sharing snacks at his kitchen table with Whiskey and Lulu charm millions online, turning him into a social media sensation. Fans immediately notice the uncanny coincidence. Decades after riding a sarcastic horse named Whiskey in a slapstick western, Arnold now bonds with a real Whiskey in his daily life. While Arnold never directly links the two, the echo delights movie buffs and trivia lovers. That unexpected parallel makes the villain's cartoon world feel oddly prophetic, where a wisecracking horse leaps from film into family. The blending of fiction and reality cements both versions of Whiskey as legendary companions, each offering their own slice of warmth and loyalty. 10. Outside the US, this oddball flop was sold under the even stranger title Cactus Jack. Travel beyond American theaters, and The Villain morphs into something even more peculiar. International audiences discover the movie under a different name: Cactus Jack. Distributors in the UK and Australia decide the character's misadventures sell better than a vague label, so Kirk Douglas's accident-prone outlaw headlines the posters instead. The change exposes the movie's own identity crisis, somewhere between parody, cartoon experiment, and star vehicle. While American audiences expect a morality play about good and evil, foreign markets get the promise of a specific rogue's wild journey. This duality extends to home video releases, with two titles circulating and confusing collectors. That simple shift, from a generic villain to a personal anti-hero, mirrors the film's tug-of-war between satire and slapstick. Regardless of title, every version delivers the same parade of gags, chief among them a set piece straight from Warner Brothers animation, the painted tunnel sequence that defines the film's surreal spirit. 9. There's a gag where Douglas paints a fake tunnel on a cliff and the wagon drives through it. Some movie moments feel lifted straight from a fever dream, and this one tops the list. In a direct homage to Roadrunner cartoons, Cactus Jack paints a tunnel onto a canyon wall, meticulously, brushstroke by brushstroke, then waits for his prey. The punchline lands with perfect absurdity. Ann-Margret and Arnold's wagon rolls straight through the painted hole, disappearing into solid rock, while Jack chases after them, only to slam into the wall. Gravity and logic vanish. Cartoon rules take over. At the time, critics accused the film of blatant copying, but fans cherished the gag's audacity. The sequence doesn't wink or nudge. It doubles down on cartoon logic, letting the impossible play out with full commitment. This single scene encapsulates the film's unashamed embrace of animated absurdity, inviting viewers to surrender realism for the sheer fun of visual nonsense. And as the laughter fades, a legend delivers his final bow. 8. Beloved comedian Paul Lynde quietly makes his final film appearance as Nervous Elk. Comedy legend Paul Lynde brings a last burst of sharp wit to The Villain, playing Nervous Elk, a neurotic tribal chief who reacts with hilarious exasperation to the mayhem. Audiences know Lindy's instantly recognizable voice from Bewitched and Hollywood Squares. Here, he leans into a smaller role, delivering rapid-fire reactions as Cactus Jack's schemes collapse and drums pound endlessly. Biographers mark The Villain as Lindy's last feature film, after which he returns to television. The role feels like a condensed dose of his entire persona, dry, sarcastic, and world-weary, always a beat ahead of the chaos. Though a minor character, Nervous Elk emerges as a memorable highlight for fans, delivering quips and sighs in a world gone mad. As credits roll, Lindy's part becomes a poignant goodbye, proof that even amid cartoon pandemonium, a real comedian can leave a lasting impression. 7. The villain in the title barely shows up while the movie actually follows the bungling outlaw. You expect a Western called The Villain to spotlight evil, but the movie's focus lands on someone far less threatening. The story follows Cactus Jack's journey, not as a menacing outlaw, but as a walking disaster forever failing at villainy. Instead of grand plans and criminal genius, we see endless mishaps, botched robberies, and slapstick defeats. Handsome Stranger and Charming Jones may ride on, but Cactus Jack receives the real emotional arc: frustration, determination, humiliation, and, finally, a surprise romantic victory. Critics note how the supposed villain becomes the audience's underdog, earning laughs and reluctant sympathy with every bruising defeat. By the end, Charming Jones abandons the oblivious hero and kisses Jack, flipping the narrative. Through it all, Jack's journey feels closer to a classic clown's struggle than an outlaw's triumph. The story invites viewers to root for the loser, someone who keeps going regardless of outcome. 6. Cactus Jack literally learns how to be bad by reading a cheap paperback called Bad Men of the West. Picture a would-be criminal who treats villainy as homework. Early in The Villain, Cactus Jack relies on a battered dime store paperback titled Bad Men of the West for step-by-step instructions on how to rob an ambush. Every scheme comes straight from this pulp manual, with Jack carefully studying diagrams and outdated advice before blundering into disaster. The New York Daily News even notes how the character reads like a hopeless gunfighter imitating Hollywood tropes, always a generation behind. Each new plan, lifted directly from the book, backfires in bigger, funnier ways, from train robberies that end with self-inflicted crashes to ambushes that collapse under their own weight. The paperback becomes a recurring gag about the danger of learning from fiction, with Jack constantly chasing glory but falling flat. His misguided efforts fuel the film's comic energy, making the pursuit of badness itself an ongoing punchline. 5. A legendary stuntman directed it, turning Kirk Douglas into his own live-action cartoon crash dummy. Behind the camera, legendary stuntman Hal Needham engineers every pratfall and disaster, treating The Villain as a giant sandbox for slapstick. Before directing, Needham built his name doubling for stars like Kirk Douglas, orchestrating some of Hollywood's most dangerous action scenes. For The Villain, he designs elaborate, physically demanding gags, collapsing bridges, rolling boulders, vertical drops, all captured without digital tricks. Douglas himself performs most stunts, trusting Needham's timing and rigging to keep the pain real and the laughs bigger. Critics argue the comedy sometimes falls flat, but even they admire the kinetic spectacle. Needham's precision ensures that each slapstick moment lands with both weight and surprise, turning Douglas into a crash test dummy with a movie star's grin. The film's physical authenticity sets it apart, cementing its reputation among stunt enthusiasts and making every failed gag a testament to real Hollywood risk-taking. 4. Studio bosses handed Needham big money after Smokey and the Bandit, and this is what he made. After the massive, unexpected success of Smokey and the Bandit in 1977, Hal Needham earned the freedom to dream big. The studio gives him $4.5 to $6 million, a solid budget for a comedy western, and expects another hit. Instead, Needham uses his clout to create The Villain, a film filled with elaborate stunts and cartoon logic. Anticipation runs high, but the final product baffles audiences and critics, earning just $9.8 million in the US and sparking profit disputes. Needham's own company, Stuntman Inc., sues over accounting issues, arguing they're shortchanged on profits. Hollywood's gamble on a stunt-driven western reveals the risk of chasing formulaic success, especially when a director trades in blockbuster chases for cartoon slapstick. Still, the film's wild physical energy and oddball risks echo Needham's stunt roots, offering a rare glimpse at what happens when studios bet on chaos over convention. 3. They shot this broad parody in Monument Valley and Old Tucson, the holy ground of classic westerns. Even as The Villain blows up western cliches, its backdrop radiates epic tradition. Filming takes place in Monument Valley, Utah, and Old Tucson studios, hallowed ground for classic westerns like Stagecoach and The Searchers. These vast, sun-drenched vistas lend the film an unexpected gravitas, creating a stunning contrast with the slapstick unfolding on screen. Ann-Margret's curves and Arnold's iconic hat share the frame with legendary buttes and mesas, tying the movie visually to the golden age of Hollywood westerns. James Dark's film histories even list The Villain among serious dramas shot in Monument Valley, highlighting the movie's odd placement within the genre's geography. For fans, this juxtaposition heightens the comedy. Every pratfall stands out against a backdrop once reserved for solemn duels and heroic rides. The effect is pure visual irony, blending real cinematic history with the playful chaos of a cartoon come to life. 2. Cactus Jack's boots magically change style while we still hear the jingling spurs in the soundtrack. No slapstick western is complete without a few continuity glitches, and the villain hides a memorable one right at Cactus Jack's feet. Throughout the film, Kirk Douglas's boots mysteriously change style between shots, sometimes tall and shiny, sometimes scuffed and short. Yet the soundtrack keeps a steady jingle of spurs, no matter what he's wearing. Fans and film blooper websites catalog the mistake as a highlight of the movie's cartoon logic. It's as if even the costumes are in on the joke, shifting to suit the needs of the next gag. These playful inconsistencies add to the film's offbeat charm, encouraging eagle-eyed viewers to watch for further bloopers, visible stunt pads, bouncing boulders, and suspiciously light props. Instead of perfection, the villain thrives on imperfection, letting the wardrobe malfunction become part of its unpredictable energy, and making each rewatch a treasure hunt for new oddities. 1. Critics slammed it as an unfunny disaster, yet today it survives as a so-bad-it's-good cult cartoon western. When The Villain hits theaters, major critics blast it as an awkward cartoon knockoff. Gene Siskel gives it a single star, others call it painful. The box office numbers stay modest, and the film slips quickly into obscurity. Yet, over time, it refuses to die. VHS tapes, late-night TV, and online forums give the film new life as a cult favorite. Movie sites like Mondo Digital celebrate its strange sincerity and kinetic chaos, while bad movie fans recommend it for so-bad-it's-good marathons. Douglas's chemistry with whiskey, the unashamed tunnel gag, and the film's relentless commitment turn it into a time capsule of what happens when Hollywood lets a stuntman run wild. The cult following finds beauty in its flaws, celebrating the bruises, the surreal humor, and the sincerity that glues every gag together. For those who seek the strangest corners of film history, The Villain becomes a must-see oddity. Until next time, stay nostalgic.